What's up guys, I'm Holly. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new and if you're returning, welcome to a new video. I am doing today's video directly in response to a question one of you guys asked a couple of weeks ago. I'm constantly going to be doing stuff like that, so if you do have questions or requests, please drop them in the comments below. This one today is about how to not be so hard on yourself starting any sort of fitness goal, endeavor, race preparation, anything like that. Now, I am a run coach, a strength coach, and I like to think of myself as sort of a softer spoken David Goggins in ways. But I want to be clear, I'm not just going to blabber some motivational quotes at you and kind of make this like podcast feel. I'm going to give you very tangible tips on how you can stay focused on your goal and not let comparison kind of steal the beginning moments from you, because I think that's super important. First thing we're going to talk about, first tip, is that every single person in your field of whatever you're trying to accomplish was a beginner at one time. It is impossible to jump into something and be a pro. You have to start somewhere. I'm making this video in direct response to someone's question they wrote in a couple weeks ago that they finished their very first virtual half marathon, which is a huge deal. Finishing your first half marathon is not easy. So many people in this world can say they have never run a half marathon. But this particular person spent the day after the race kind of reflecting on all the things that went wrong about their race, even though they finished. So they wish their time was faster. They wish that they hadn't walked as much in the end of the race as they had. And more than that, they just didn't live up to the potential they thought they were gonna have, for their first half marathon. You finished a half marathon, that's fucking awesome. And you're gonna move on to your next goal now, knowing what you know. If your main goal, the next one, is to not walk, I would suggest planning most of your training runs at a pace that you know you can keep the running up for the whole time. Practice that not walking, never stopping if you don't want to stop. Take it easy on yourself, focus on the accomplishment, and really don't look around to compare yourself to other people's performance, because we are all going through different things as we train for these. Bringing me to tip number 2, which is to stay focused on your path. I have done this so many times in so many various areas of my life, but bringing your attention to other people or the way things went for other people is time away from your goal. You are absolutely spreading yourself thinner than you need to, and if you actually were to just keep your head down, focused on your work, you would get there a lot faster. So I see a lot of progress get stopped up by people worrying about when they're gonna hit their goal or what other people did to hit their goal, or you're only seeing part of the picture. So I see someone who's maybe my height, my weight, my age, finishing a race way faster than me, and I can't figure out where the discrepancy is, but I'm focused on the discrepancy more than me hitting my own goal. So make sure your focus is on your training plan. Like I said, if your race didn't go how you wanted, what could you change about your training? Move on from there. The third thing I want to talk about actually comes from an experience I had with one of my clients last week. Super interesting. This person runs, they are fit already. We were kind of getting her ready for her wedding, but now we're just training regularly. We were doing a workout, and as time goes on with my clients, I love making things harder as I see them get stronger. A lot of times I don't tell them that I'm doing this, and sometimes it kind of blows up in their face and they're wondering if they're just getting worse at what we're doing. And I have to kind of explain, no, I'm making things harder, that's why you hired me. But we were doing a series of planks, like elbow planks, and I was making her hold a bunch of consecutive ones, side, middle, in a row, and she kind of just broke down. It was very abnormal for her. I usually see her as very even-keeled, and she just totally broke down and was like, I'm embarrassed right now. And it was just her and I was like, why are you embarrassed? And she just basically said, I'm not living up to what I would think I could get through this. This is so weird, like why can I not get through these planks? And I explained to her, my goal with anyone is to put you in positions where you are struggling, because that's where your mind changes, that's where your strength changes. It's not gonna happen if we keep repeating the same workouts over and over again. So I told her, you should feel lucky that you have room to grow, room to actually simmer on that and feel inspired to come back and hit it harder the next time. If you didn't fall out of that plank, you probably wouldn't feel any sort of motivation towards getting better. And so I just say we're all so lucky to have moments where we feel inadequate, because in anything, fitness, life, work, you are looking for opportunity to have incentive. You want a reason to try harder. And so I love finding anything that we're bad at. Anything you're bad at or you're weak at, means you have room to improve at that, and it gives you kind of this direction, this purpose. And so I told her that, and it was really interesting. Even the few sessions we had after that, I just saw her mindset switch. I was tempted to maybe make things easier to give her that confidence, but I realized her confidence is going to come from overcoming those moments and maybe not killing the planks, but actually mentally getting past the points where she wants to stop. Next thing I want to talk about for not being too hard on yourself is your metrics. Don't get so caught up in the numbers. Everything this watch tells you, everything your health app on your phone tells you. If you get so obsessed with the pace and the heart rate and the effort levels and the percentage of the zones and all that, you do set yourself up in the beginning to really live up to this standard on paper. You have to remember that all these devices are supposed to be tools to make us better and more motivated, not to bring us down. So if you feel that you are getting so caught up in your numbers that it's actually debilitating you and you're not in a good place mentally with your training, ditch it. I would absolutely take the watch off. I would stop tracking my runs. I would go off of effort and how I feel until I feel that I have control over that and come back. In the beginning, it's really easy to look at a task, think that you're just going to go out the door to the gym or whatever and check it off, very black and white. It's really not like that. We've all had days where we expected something to go a certain way and it absolutely didn't. But if we're constantly looking at our performance in these metrics and these percentages and stuff, it can bring us down really quickly. I've seen that with a lot of people, and it's a big reason that I didn't track anything related to my fitness until about 2 years ago. I credit my love for fitness to the fact that I didn't give a shit about numbers until just recently. Now I know I can take them with a grain of salt, but remember, the watch doesn't know you as well as your actual mind and body know you. If you're feeling that comparison, especially a lot of people on Strava and stuff like that, posting their runs, and this person, again, I would think we're the same pace, but now I'm seeing we're not, whatever. Like this person writing into me, that race is now more of a failure in their head than it was a win, just because of numbers on the page, their pace, their finish time. So make sure you're not negating your wins by getting so hyper focused on the numbers. If you are a competitive person, maybe you played sports and you kind of miss that nature of just having someone to compete against, absolutely use the numbers or the tracking if that helps you. So I know Apple Watch and Strava and stuff, you can see other people performing, and if that helps get you to the gym or out the door for your own training or push harder, absolutely use it. But you want to be the one in control of that comparison. You don't want to be the one kind of getting dragged through the mud, watching everybody hit this certain number or this certain pace, and you feel like you're lagging behind constantly, because that will deteriorate your mental health. This next tip is one I live by so hard, both in my fitness training and outside of that and just in my normal life, and that is, your 100% today is not the same as your 100% yesterday. There are so many factors that go into how we feel and how we operate, especially how we perform in our training. Your nutrition, your hydration, how much sleep you got, where your body's at, are you dealing with an injury, all those things. And then of course on top of that, where your mind's at, how far and hard you can push based on your belief system that day. Are you feeling confident? Are you feeling really not? Are you getting worried about something or anxious? All these things play into the fact that you could be a very different athlete one day to the next. And especially if you're a beginner athlete, you're not understanding yourself well enough yet to identify when you're kind of lying to yourself, when you do need to push harder, or when you really need to take yourself seriously and understand that you shouldn't push that day because it is going to end up poorly for you. And so I bring this up because last week I went on this run. I was going to do 10 miles, which is a very standard distance for me. And I had taken most of the things into account. I got a lot of sleep. I ate well, appropriate amount of time before the run. I drank enough water. I was feeling in a good mindset to go do 10 miles. What I did not take into account was the fact that it was 90, 95 degrees outside maybe, high humidity, and it was right in the middle of the day, sun just beating down. I felt good for the first half of the run and then absolutely fell apart in the second half of the run, to the point where I thought about just kind of walking a good portion of it. Now at this time I was also filming that run for one of my other videos, and I felt that I had to really live up to what I said I was going to do, and I had talked about the run beforehand as if it was just going to be this casual 10 miler, and it got me realizing heat is such a real thing. This is a really good example of 100% not matching, because that can affect you so much. But if you don't take everything into account, you're going to automatically assume that you are getting worse or you're just in a shitty state of training. And if you're someone who's beginning, this can really, really break you down mentally and take away your confidence from continuing. This is why I see a lot of people plateau or give up or assume that they're not cut out for running or not cut out for CrossFit or not cut out for, whatever they're trying to do. So I want you to understand that just because you felt amazing at a certain workout or in a certain meeting or, a date or whatever yesterday, that doesn't mean you're going to have the same experience the next day, because you're dealing with different things, and that's part of being human. So in the beginning, really, without getting specific on the metrics like I talked about, really taking into account where you are physically and mentally. That will help you expect more so you're less surprised by your results. This person with the half marathon, it's very possible that maybe the weather wasn't something that they had been training in before. Maybe they didn't get quality sleep because they were nervous, which is a real part of getting ready for a race. All these things matter, and they're completely valid reasons for not performing a certain way. And the more you understand, the less hard on yourself you're going to be. And one of the fun things about training and life in general is that it's going to swing up and down, and it makes you really appreciate the high moments and really value the low moments for making you better. I want to round this video out with something that is very important to me, something I'm working on personally each and every day, which is to not ruin our milestones, not cloud our accomplishments over with details and over-analysis after they're over. I bring this up because this person wrote in about their first half marathon finish, and instead of enjoying and experiencing, the accomplishment of doing something that big, they're now looking at all the things that went wrong. And so this is going to be a bad memory in their head versus a good one, or one that inspires them to go after something else important. So I say this because in fitness and outside of it, no matter what you're focused on, it's always going to be easier to see it clearly after the fact. But we're living in the present. Each moment is happening in real time, and we can't expect ourselves to do everything perfectly because we're human. We make errors, we do our best in the moment, but we can often look back and reflect and find areas we need to improve on, but that's life. Given the fact that we have a million things going on, it is hard to balance everything and expect ourselves to perform perfectly, especially if we're being told in these training plans that, A plus B equals C. If we do all these 5 days of training and everything goes perfect, we're gonna have this race finish. It's just not the case, and it's not the case in real life either. So I encourage the person who wrote in this question to understand they are human and they should be proud of these accomplishments. You wanna have good memories to look back on. I hope one of those tips sticks with you, and I hope I wasn't too preachy through this video, but I just want you guys to understand that being too hard on yourself, especially as you set out on a big goal, can sometimes derail you and keep you from ever accomplishing it at all. So having some perspective and grace on the big picture of what you're going for and what you're trying to get out of this thing, physically, mentally, it could be fitness related, it could be not, is really important in sticking with it. I know that my brand tends to be like, try harder, do better, work out twice a day, all of that. David Goggins certainly, pushes the idea that you want to be always mentally stronger than what you feel like. But know that in the beginning, having some perspective and then just easing up a little bit on yourself mentally will give you that space to grow, get stronger, and want to do more so that you don't burn out. Hope you got something out of this. Drop any video requests down below, and please subscribe if you haven't yet. I'll see you guys another day.